Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Shop Adventure, my weekly excursion where I leave the homestead here at Athletic Geek HQ in search for a bounty of comics, graphic novels, action figures, collectibles, and all things in between. First things first, gotta talk about what stood out from last week's bounty, and to be honest, it was a bounty of mediocrity. It was just 5 books, none of them were awful, but a lot of them just didn't really bust over the average mark. The Batman book and the continued crossover with the Flash was good, and it furthered that story as we go into the final part that I should be picking up this week in the Flash comic. And Uncanny X-Men, for all the ups and downs and things I've said about it, it had a really good moment with Wolverine and Cyclops that I really enjoyed. But beyond that, everything else, nothing really stood out. Nothing was bad. I mean, the Brainiac book was okay, and, the Avengers is setting up, this new story they're doing. But nothing was really, just spectacular, and that's unfortunate, because they're really a lot of good titles I was very excited about, and they just kind of, if I grade them all on a scale of 1 to 10, they all kind of really hovered around the 5 and 6 level. That happens. Not everything's a home run. But I had higher hopes and higher expectations for this, for last week's bounty, and yeah, nothing really rocked my world. But we'll see how this week's adventure goes, and see what I pick up this week. Hey everyone, I am back here at the homestead here at Athletic Geek HQ. Got another short bounty this week, but still pretty decent one. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. First up is Daredevil number 2. This is the second issue of the Chip Zdarsky run, and I really enjoyed the first one, and I hope the momentum continues. I hope that Zdarsky keeps writing a good Daredevil story, and I hope it gets back up to the level that Mark Waid had it at. That's not a knock on Charles Soule, just I preferred the Mark Waid run. It was a tremendous run, and I hope that Zdarsky can get it back up to that level, because it was Daredevil's a really, really good book then. It was can't miss book, and I hope it gets back up to that level. From there, we go to Heroes in Crisis number 6, and I'm literally just finishing this out because I've read the majority of them. Just kind of, I was feeling it at first, but I'm not really feeling it. It can still recover, but I'm kind of just in too deep at this point. It's not like other books where they're going to continue forever, or be a major series. It's a mini series. There's 4 more, counting this, there's 4 more books left. So yeah, just keep riding it out. That's kind of what I'm telling myself here, and we'll see if it picks up, and yeah. From there we go to The Flash number 65. This is the final part of that crossover with Batman, and last issue, at least in the Batman book, was decent, as I mentioned earlier. It wasn't the greatest thing ever, but it was a nice setup for this climax, if you will, and just everything with Gotham Girl, and they just did a really good job with this book, and I'm ready to see this. I shouldn't say I'm ready to see it, but I'm interested to see how the climax of this crossover, to see how it turns out. From there, we go to Action Comics number 1008, and this is really on the chopping block. I mean, the Superman book's good. Action's just kind of been I've been trying to read them both because I feel like they tie into each other, but yeah, I think eventually I'm definitely going to be dropping this unless it really picks up. And I'm a fan of Bendis on Superman. I'm a fan of how he writes Superman. I feel like maybe just give him one Superman title. Maybe he shouldn't get both. Maybe we should get another perspective on Superman in action, or vice versa. So that's just my take. But nonetheless, I have it. Action Comics number 1008. From there, we go to Terrifics number 13. And just been a really great book so far, and just kind of getting these B-level superheroes. I've said before, just good stories, good little stories by Jeff Lemire with these B-level heroes like Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific and Plastic Man getting their due. I really enjoy it, and Jeff Lemire's a great writer, and yeah, just and it's also one of the few books that's still only $2.99. So that's all, you get a good book for $1 less than every other book out there. So terrifics, check it out. And rounding out the pull list this week is Batman Detective Comics number 999. That's right, next time I pick up Detective Comics as part of the bounty, it will be the historic issue 1000. And I've loved Peter Tomasi's run on this so far. He's just done an exceptional job. He's a great writer that is very underrated, and he's doing just a wonderful job on Detective Comics, and curious to see what happens with this book and how it continues to press on to issue 1000. Damian's back. I'm not a huge Damian Wayne fan, but if there's anybody that could write to where I would, give more of a fuck about Damian Wayne, it'll be Tomasi. So, Detective number 999. And the last book I picked up this week, well, it's not officially part of the pull list. It is the Grant Morrison JLA number 5, and I actually have this book in my collection right now, but it's one of my all-time favorite issues, just single issue comic books ever. I got it as a kid back when they still had, comic books at Walmart, and I loved it so much. It was just a really, really just an amazing story, and even though I was a kid, it was kind of one of those where I recognized that this was well written. It really touched me and really stuck with me, as a kid, just with how cool it was. It was one of the very first times, I'm trying to figure out the right way of saying this, where something stuck with me, and I felt moved by a story even as a 7-year-old child at the time. A lot of books that I read as a child, I read it and saw like, okay, cool, that's neat, because I was just a kid. And then upon revisiting these books, as an adult, I realized how much deeper and how much, what kind of things that story that I just thought had some fun action and had a conclusion, because that's all I cared about as a kid was, did this book have an ending to it? Because I don't know if they're going to have the next part of it. That's all I cared about as a kid. But this was the one, I spoiled it, and it had this particular issue had a conclusion, but it was just I was really moved by it. The first premise of the book was, they're restarted the JLA, and they're recruiting new members, and they end up getting this unknown hero named Tomorrow Woman as a new member. And I don't want to give too much away, because I might write about this on my collection comic of the week sometime soon. Be sure to check out Facebook for that. But it's just something where the way things went, it stuck with me, and it stuck with me. It's still probably... Well, Morrison's run on JLA is not my favorite graphic novel of all time. This issue right here may be my most favorite single issue of a comic book of all time. And I had one, and I read so much that it's all beat up, so I found another one that's in somewhat a little bit better shape, that's stuck in a bag and board, that if I'm ever blessed enough to go to a convention with Grant Morrison, I will definitely have him sign this mint condition one and put it up there on the wall somewhere. But yeah, really, really cool finding that. And that is it for my bounty this week. Let me know what you picked up at your local comic shop in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and like to see others like it, please like, share, and subscribe. Have more than just comic book content here. Have content from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, and all things geek culture. Be sure to like the Facebook page for more content, including my collection comic of the week. Every Thursday, I write about one of the great books that I have in my very, very large comic book collection, and that is exclusive to my Facebook page. But other than that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Later.